Hey guys, LootWizard here with another Soulforge video, and we got some interesting things to cover here because there's a new legendary troop out. It's called Baphomet, and we're going to check out what its ability does. We're going to try to get it in the event keys, and that's the only way you can get it this week is by opening event keys. We also have a new epic troop that's out, so we're going to check that out. Guild Wars is going on this week, and we do have the Tower of Doom event, and I saw that there was a new Doom weapon coming out with this event, so we're going to check out that, and of course we're going to start with the Soulforge first, as always. So let's go in here, scroll through the weapons real quick. We got Deathspire here at the top. This is going to do damage to all enemies boosted by all enemy towers. I don't think it's a good investment to get this one. This one, not a good investment either. Doom Staff, that is the new weapon for the Doom event. We're going to check that out once we get over to that event. And then down here, there's really nothing amazing here in the weapons this week. So let's skip over to troops. Let's check out these summoning stones really fast. I always like to check these summoning stones just because you never know when there's a troop in there that's actually pretty good. That can be a little tricky to get for some people. So let's just go through these. I don't see anything here yet. Nope, so nothing here in summoning stones. Now we're going to go through and look at the troops here, legendary and mythic ones. We have, for legendary troops, we have Keeper of Souls, which is actually a pretty decent legendary troop. Then we have Summer Imp. We have Keelan, which is another good legendary troop. And then we have Smashed Mouth, which is it's a decent goblin troop, legendary troop here. It'll do damage to an enemy, knock them to the back, and then it drains mana from all enemies, gains an extra turn. All these goblin troops are really annoying because they do gain that extra turn. So that is a troop. I don't really recommend to craft it. You'll probably get it in keys sooner or later. So, for legendary troops this week, I would have to say Keelan's probably going to be number one on the list. And then, Smash Mouth is actually kind of decent with the fact that it's draining mana and gaining an extra turn. It does do some spell damage as well. But Keeper of Souls is really nice too. If you have a weapon like Mang, you can use this troop with that, transform all gems of a chosen color 2 skulls. Very, very useful troop. So, yeah, those are really good legendaries. Now, moving on here to the mythic troops, we have the Arachnian Weaver, Phoenicia, Aquaticus, and Mambasira. Not sure if I'm saying the name of this one right, but this one's pretty decent, but not as good as something like Tina 9000, obviously, because Tina 9000 is going to do true damage. This one's only going to do regular damage, but it will do it to 6 random enemies. It does give all green allies 1 to each of their stats at the start of every single turn. So that's something interesting about it. Now, as far as like the importance of these troops, I'm going to have to say I would probably go with Aquaticus as number 1. Just because Aquaticus does do splash damage to 3 random enemies, which means it can do damage to basically everything on the board. It will explode half the blue gems on the board, and then it will give, basically it's going to give itself mana because of that mana generation. So it's doing damage, mana generation, and in fact it will, it has a defensive function here with submerging all allies in a 4 or more gem match. Now this troop works really well with weapons like Jar of Eyes that creates an Ice Storm. You can also use Skady with it as well if you have it. That's a mythic troop that creates an Ice Storm. And that'll generate more blue mana every single turn. And this will explode half the blue gems on the board. So those combinations work really well with this troop. So Aquaticus is probably going to be my number 1 for this week. Phoenicia is also really good, but you have to have the right setup for this troop. This one can do upwards of close to 80, maybe close to 90 damage to all enemies, but the conditions have to be right for that to happen. But the standard boost, or the average boost, I should say, that you can get out of this is usually around in the 60s range. So the damage that you see here, with basic conditions met, you can get it up to like 60 damage. per cast to all enemies, which is pretty high. So there are some fast like builds with this for clearing explore, like mid to lower explore battles. But I wouldn't use Phoenicia as often for events and for PvP and things like that. So it's going to be a little lower on my list here to craft this week. I would have to say probably Aquaticus is number one for me, and then probably two is Arachne Weaver. And then I would say, I might say go with Mambasira here is three, and then Phoenicia is four. And Phoenicia isn't a bad troop, but it does need to those conditions of there has to be a firestorm for it to deal double damage. So you do have to have some conditions there that have to be met for it to, maximize its damage. This doesn't have any such conditions, and you're still going to do that damage to the 6 random enemies. So that's the order in which I would place the mythic troops this week. But definitely a few good ones. Aquaticus is good, and Arachne Weaver is good. So if you've been waiting for those to come around, now is the perfect time to craft them. So moving on then from that, let's go over to the shop, and we're going to collect the resources here for Spoils of War. Recommend doing this every week if you can afford to. I have lots of glory saved up, so I always do that just because, like, during this time, we're going to be able to open up our event keys to get that new legendary troop. So Spoils of War here, you get 10 event keys every time you do this per week, and I just save them up for times like this. But right now we're going to get this new troop. This is a new epic troop, and it's called Herald of Damnation. Now this troop is new this week. Let's see. It starts with full mana, so it's an empowered troop, and it's going to convert blue gems to purple and curse and burn the strongest enemy. So you'll probably end up seeing this one perhaps quite often now, just because these empowered troops are usually pretty powerful, pretty good for certain teams. Like teams that rely on purple gems, this thing is going to be included in that because it will right away from the very beginning you're going to be able to convert blue gems to purple. So that's it's definitely a plus. I'll probably end up using it even, and a lot of times I say that like I'm not going to use these new troops, but this one probably will include it in a few teams. So we got that guy, and we'll power him up later. Let's go check out the, well, let's see. Should we try to get the new legendary first and talk about that, or should I go to the events? Tower of Doom event here. Well, yeah, let's try to get the legendary first. So I have 961 event keys. Not quite saved up to the point where that one time I was trying to get Wolf Garrick. I had like almost 1,400 event keys when that happened. But I don't think I'm going to have too much of a problem getting this because it's just a legendary card called Baphomet. And we got it right out of the first batch of 50. So like I said, I'm not too concerned about legendary cards. Those mythics, though, man, those can be nasty to try to get. As you guys all saw with that Wolf Garrick video. Anyway, 17 mana cost, red and purple. Baphomet is the name of this troop. It's considered a demon centaur. It will deal 26 damage to 3 random enemies. If the enemy is burning, deal double damage. And for its traits, it reflects 25% skull damage. It will deal triple skull damage to burning enemies, but it has no way of mitigating skull damage, so that's kind of a downside to it, because if it's going to deal skull damage, it has to be at the very top of the team. But its spell ability is interesting. It's going to hit 3 random enemies, and if they're burning, it'll do double damage. So if this is 26, then he's going to do double that, so it'll do close to 60 damage to 3 random enemies. That can be pretty tough, but they have to be burning. And there are troops that are immune to burning in the game, so that's going to, affect this thing's damage a little bit. But also, there's no way for the card to do burn. So you're going to have to use a different troop or weapon to burn all the enemies before you cast this thing. So that kind of makes it a little less valuable in my opinion. Like if one of these traits, instead of the reflecting skull damage, maybe if it had on there that it burns enemies on a 4 or 5 match or something. Maybe that would make it a little more useful in my eyes. But it looks like it's going to still pack a punch, no doubt. No doubt about that. So, alright, we talked about that. I'll have to figure out teams that can benefit from that later. Right now, just one of the weapons I'm thinking of, I can just go to it here real quick. It's an all-purple weapon. I believe it's a class weapon. It's called Fiend Fire. Right here. This thing will curse and burn all enemies. It's only a 14 mana cost, so I recommend getting this weapon. It's a class weapon, and if you get this thing, you can put it with that new legendary troop, and it burns all enemies, and it curses them too. So even troops that are immune to burning, they should still get burnt because it's going to curse them first, and then it will apply the burn effect. So this weapon right here would probably go really well with that other one. The only problem is that the other legendary troop, Baphomet, takes red and purple mana color, and the Fiend Fire weapon is purple. So you just have to put this above the troop. It's not a huge deal, but it will block a little bit of mana. So, alright, now that we talked about that, let's go ahead and go over to the event here. I'm not going to cover anything with Guild Wars because, I've done that in the past, and you guys pretty much know what to do for that. You set up your defenses, unique troops, upgrade your sentinels, all that kind of stuff. And on attack days, you just do your, maximize your points. You need to use a team that has all the same color for that day. So that's pretty much all Guild Wars is. So let's go right into Tower of Doom. And let's go to the shop here really quick because I'm going to take a look at this weapon. And the weapon's going to cost you 100, 250, and it's going to cost you 500 gems. So I'm going to go ahead and buy it just because, it's so hard to get these weapons later on, even if it isn't good. Now, let's check this out here. This is a new one. I haven't seen this one before. It's called the Doom Staff. It's going to create 4 yellow gems. 1+ gem per tempering level, and the maximum tempering level is 10, so it's telling you can create 14 yellow gems every time you cast this thing if you can get its tempering level to the max. It gives 27 armor to all red allies. If the enemy has a doom, eliminate all armor from a random enemy. Okay, so it's a red mana color, costs 18. Okay, so there's some things that I don't like about this weapon, and I'm going to critique it here a little bit. And the first thing that bothers me about it is that it's going to create yellow gems, not red. So now if this weapon was yellow and is creating yellow gems, or if they just changed the yellow to red, that would be a little better in my opinion. But I guess they figure that, the yellow is supposed to be for whatever, allies you have on your team. But and the fact that it doesn't generate mana for itself is kind of a downside. And giving armor to all red allies, that's good. But then you have to have a full red team. And the only time you really focus on using teams that all have the same color is for Guild Wars. Outside of that, it doesn't matter at all. And in fact, a lot of those teams are actually less powerful if you focus on all the same color, because you're going to have to... if all your allies use the same mana color, you're going to have mana blocking, and that's going to keep your troops from powering up faster, and that means your damage output per second or per minute or whatever, however you want to calculate it, it's going to be ultimately less. So I don't really like that fact that it's armor. If it just said give armor to all allies instead of red allies, this weapon would be more useful, because we're creating yellow gems. And what if you want to use this weapon outside of this event and you want to just use yellow troops, and maybe they're not yellow and red troops? So if you choose troops that are going to be your allies that have yellow and maybe say green, let's say you have a yellow green troop you want to put in there, something like Luna, and then this weapon will generate mana for that, but it won't give it the armor because it's not a red ally. And then the final thing here, it says if the enemy has a doom, and outside of this event, you're not going to see that many dooms show up in teams, whether it be PvP or some other event. So it's really this last sentence here of its ability is restricted to almost entirely this event. And you might not even want to use this weapon for this event because something like Mang might work better, or Trickster Shot. But, so if the enemy has a Doom, eliminate all armor from a random enemy. Yeah, so I'm still going to buy it just because, like I said, these weapons are hard to come by when, because these Doom events are pretty rare now. They're not showing up like every month like they used to. So that's why I'm going to get it anyway. But if you're low on gems, I don't recommend getting this one. It's not that good in my opinion. It seems like whoever put this ability together for it was not really thinking about how the weapon could synergize very well with teams. But that's my opinion on that. Of course, this is red, so we're gonna have to make teams that are centered around red here because we're restricted to that. So let's go in here and let's see what we're working with. Now, weapons are not restricted to that color, so you can use any color you want for weapons, but your troops have to be. Now, see right here, this is probably the best red Doom weapon, the Doomed Crossbow, because it deals damage to all enemies, +1 per tempering level, and I have mine at 10, so it's going to do 40 spell damage to all enemies. Then it's going to transform blue gems to Doom Skulls. So this weapon is really powerful for that. And yeah. No, the Doom Staff, not really that great. But yeah, we can use any one of these weapons we want. We can use Essence of Evil, Fiend Fire there if I want. Now most of the troops are going to be low level right now for me, so I might just throw in Fiend Fire because it's a decent weapon. It's gonna, or we could center around something like this. But actually, no, we don't want to do that because we're going to center around red, probably. So I might want to pick my weapon last, and let's go pick out troops here first. We need troops that all have red. You know, I have not used my Flame of Anu once since I got it. Anyway. So we could actually, there's quite a few mythic troops here that are good for this. We have Infernus, which is good. And Infernus does create a firestorm when an enemy dies, so that could help. Ishtara deals damage to all enemies, creates yellow gems. So that's good. Obsidius is pretty good too. We also have Phoenicia, which does our huge bonus for if there is a firestorm. Cutter's the Bull is really good as well. And then we have the Lord of Slaughter. And that's really good too. Lord of Slaughter, just massacre stuff. Tina 9000 is amazing. There's actually a lot of good troops we got going here. Red Day is really, I mean, there's a lot of good red troops. But what I'm thinking of doing here is we could go Catcher's the Bull. Let's just do a, see what the Guardians here. We should, because there should be the Red Guardians. Whatever their name is. I went all here, but it's not giving me all red. It's odd. There they are. Ferocity. I forgot what the name of these things were. Anyway, this right here, and then we can just use... Why won't you go down there, buddy? What the heck? Anyway. For the weapon, there's a couple of weapons that I can choose for this that generate red mana. I mean, heck, you could even throw in Essence of Evil. You could throw in Reflection of Good here to generate mana if you don't have what I'm going to show you. So, even Anu's Scepter, it's not going to generate red, but you can destroy gems with that. So that's good. But the weapons I'm looking for, we have Flammifer, and we have there is a, see this right here can work really good. This is going to create 10 red gems. It does do a little bit of damage. But there's another one too in here. It's pretty good. If I can find it. If I can find it. Right here, there's Rage Reaver. I like to use this one. It creates 4 red gems boosted by Tauros allies, and since this is Tauros and Kedris the Bull is Tauros, then it's really good. It's going to generate quite a bit of mana there. The other thing that you could use is Shegra's Heart, which creates 7 red gems. Not as many red gems as the other 2 weapons, but that does work, and I think that's a little more accessible to people. More people probably have that. And then there's Urskaean Crown. You can use this too. It creates 9 red gems and can summon. So that's really good as well. But I think I'm going to go with, let's see, 10 red gems here. And does Rage Reaver create more than Flammifer? Creates 4. And the boost ratio is 3, so what is that? 12 plus 4. 16 red gems that it can create. And this is just going to create 10 red gems. So Rage Reaver is ultimately better, I think. So we're going to do this sort of thing. And then we could do... Should I do brown and blue, or should I focus on red? Let's focus on red, I guess, and we'll do, can do this, double red, brown. That way we got brown for Rage Reaver. For class, it doesn't really matter a whole lot, probably, but for this one, I'm going to use the Shaman class because it's considered Tauros. And that is going to maximize my red gem creation because it's boosted by Tauros allies. So this right here would work really well. Otherwise, if you are going to use one of the other weapons like Flammifer, you could use the Sunspear class right here. And if you have it fully traded, you're going to create a Firestorm every turn. And that'll be really, really good for the Ferocity. And even Kedris the Bull, because Kedris the Bull gains 2 attack and armor and life when matching red gems. So all of that is really good. So I mean, this team right here is going to be probably something you can use really far into the higher parts of the tower. And the fact that we have potions of enchantment and all that stuff is just going to make it so much easier. But yeah, this is, there's a lot of teams that you could really make for this event. Because there's so many good red troop. Just red troops that you can use. There's a lot of them. But this right here is going to be a good team for sure. It'll probably take you all the way as high as you want to go, probably, because the 2 Ferocity, as long as you're getting 4 or 5 matches, those Ferocities are just going to constantly boost your stats on pretty much every one of your troops, even your hero class here if you're using the Shaman. If you're using that Shaman class, even the stats and the damage right here on your whatever weapon you're using for that is going to increase like crazy. Boss room is unlocked. Okay, so let's go do this boss room real quick, and then I think I'm going to wrap this video up. We're about 25 minutes into it, and we covered a lot of stuff. Yeah, look at all those stats increase. And there's no way that they can survive that. All right, so yeah, that's my thoughts on teams for this event. We went over the weapon, and we went over the Soulforge. We went over the new legendary troop. Lots of stuff here in this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one and got something out of it. And yeah, thanks for watching my videos, guys. I love you, and I'll see you on the next one. Later.